Hey everybody! So this evening I'm going to a little party over at my aunt's house, and I thought that I would take some of the Brussels sprouts that I've been growing because they kind of look like they need eating. They're done. So I thought I would take those over there and give the leaves to the bunnies. Check out what I got back here. Isn't that cool? It's quite the load actually. The wood on the bottom is for the rafters on my Animal Run greenhouse project. If you're not following that, you can find those videos on my channel. They're very interesting, kind of fun sometimes. And then one of the neighbors, I posted that I was looking for some more tanks for my garden. She says, hey, I got one. So on my way back from the sawmill, we went over to her place and got this tank, and it was kind of a project because it was full of dirt and we had to get the tractor and dump it out. It turned in quite an ordeal. But they're very, very nice people, and they were just happy to have a little break from the sun and do something different out of the tractor for a minute. And so we got that on there. It's a little bent up. It had a little trouble with the tractor getting dumped out, but I think it's going to be just fine. I'm not worried about it at all. I think it'll kind of smooth itself out once I get it full of dirt. That one, and then I think I'm going to get one or two more of those. They're already here on the place. I just need to get them moved over here. And then the garden will be pretty much hardscaped. Like, I won't have to put any more of the big tanks in. I might put in some small containers of some kind, and maybe some border containers. I'm aiming to get everything in containers, so it's going to be like a very large container garden, and keep everything off the ground so that I can have the ducks and the bunnies and the cats, and if the cows get out, it'll all be off the ground. Nothing will necessarily eat it or trample it, and I can have it sooner in the year, because it's a problem right now. So that, like, in the winter, the ground freezes so hard and there's so much snow that the ground doesn't really get workable until like pretty late in the season, like very late in the season. But everything that's in containers, the dirt in the containers thaws out faster, especially when it's in a metal container, because the sun just bounces off it and the dirt gets softer faster, and I can plant sooner, which is major because we have a pretty short growing season, and it doesn't get as hard packed in the containers. Like, the ground just gets ridiculously hard packed. You have to get the disc in here with the tractor, and that's a heck of a project. But anyway, show you my little garden projects here. All my tomatoes over here. Hopefully soon I'm going to get some of my cages on. I've got some more cages put together. Everything's looking pretty good. I got a lot of weeding done. I need to do some rototilling just to work the ground into the weeds together. The onions and the potatoes are going to get dug up this week. They are done. Let me just turn the camera around. So I've got so many weeds in the potatoes and the onions because I just gave up weeding when they started to onions started to get to their prime. So the weeds obviously are the ones standing. The potatoes and the onions are the ones that are all toppled over. They are so ready to dig. But my tomato plant over here is doing good. These are sweet potato vines in this. Those are the perennial carnations from E. Burgess. They sent me a card the other day that said, we're not sending you your seed potatoes this year. We'll send them to you in the spring. I was like, oh, okay, hopefully they're in better shape than they were. Tomato there. I've got a most interesting squash over here that I did not plant. It was volunteer, but it looks like some of the ones I planted last year. If anybody knows what this is, please let me know and tell me how to cook it. Because it kind of looks like an acorn squash, but it's definitely not that color. And then I got some lilies that are blooming. A few more sweet potato plants in here. A couple of the lettuces I just haven't fed to the rabbits yet. I will get there, and then I'll replant this to lettuce before we get to the Brussels sprouts. I'll show you around. The raspberry plants are so happy, especially since I mulched them. They haven't been growing any weeds. They're containing water. They're loving it in there. The asparagus, of course, bolted long time ago. It's happy, doing fine. The strawberries from E. Burgess, they look healthy. They never produced any strawberries, but hopefully next year. Big tomatoes on this plant. This plant was volunteer, and it's starting to do the leaf curl, and it's getting plenty of water. So if anybody knows what that might be, let me know. We've had hellacious trouble with grasshoppers. Just crazy. They're eating everything. Got a pretty hollyhock from my mom's house. It needs staked, but oh, it's so pretty. Look at this. Just gorgeous. The cats really like the wet soil. It's cool. Got some it left my brain. I don't remember what those are at the moment. And then this tomato plant is getting big and it's caged. It's looking so good. And then over here we have another volunteer tomato plant. And this is over here in this container in the corner for reference. Volunteer sunflower, and it's just so pretty that I decided to leave it. I do enjoy sunflowers. I'm gonna plant some next year, I think, so that they're more where I want them. And I'm getting tomatoes. I've got cherry tomatoes. Oh, they're so yummy. These are the sun gold, and they are by far my favorite. They are so good. And then I do have some red ones in the back. Oh yes, yummy. Got some big strawberry plants here that are about 3 years old. See what the grasshoppers did to my rhubarb? I mean, look at this. This is just crazy. You'd think that they'd die after eating it because rhubarb leaves are very poisonous. Nope, they're just thriving. My mulberry tree has a little bit of chlorosis or lack of water. I'm not sure exactly which. If anybody knows and can troubleshoot this for me. The damage is grasshoppers, but the coloring is what I'm looking at. And it's just, when I looked it up for mulberry trees, it said it was lack of water. I've tripled the amount of water in the last week, and the leaves just keep turning this strange color. So if anybody can tell me what I can do for my poor mulberry tree, I would love to fix it. All the tomato plants, I'm going to work on getting them trimmed and caged here very soon. And we'll work our way back over to the Brussels sprouts. So these big bad boys are Brussels sprouts. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut them off at the base. That's what they look like. It's so cool to me. I just had no idea that you could grow Brussels sprouts in this area. I actually thought they were cabbage for the longest time. They were mismarked. So I just thought, you know, hey, strange looking cabbage. But it turns out that they're Brussels sprouts. And they look good. So I'm just gonna cut them off or pull them up down here and take them to the house and cut the Brussels sprouts off and feed the rest of the bunnies, and then those bunnies are going to be happy. These are huge plants, just massive. So cool. I can't get the stalks to cut off. I tried to cut it right here with my clippers, and it is way too woody for my poor little clippers. It just won't cut. So I'm gonna take the clippers and just cut off the Brussels sprouts and do it that way. So I think I can just go like that and have little baby Brussels sprouts. No, that's mine. Some of them are just ridiculously small. I have no idea if they'll taste any good or not. But some of them are kind of good sized. So I'm gonna go ahead and set the camera down and cut all these off, and I'll show you how many I end up with. So here are the plants after being cut up, and here are what we got. Not too bad. Got a few bigger ones, just a couple. Hopefully they'll be yummy.